Good morning, grade 4. We are here again to learn something new together. Once again, I am your teacher Monica, your teacher for today. Before we start our lesson, make sure that you have with you your learning packet, Science for Quarter 4, Week 1. Also, have with you your pencil and of course, your answer sheet. If you are ready, then let's play, learn, and have fun together. For today's lesson, we are going to talk about science. We are now in quarter 4, week 1, and we are going to talk about the types and characteristics of soil. Before we continue, let's try to figure out what is the objective for today's lesson. At the end of the lesson, you are expected to compare and contrast the characteristic of different types of soil. S4 ES-LB4. Let's try to answer this question. What will the earth be without soil? Can you imagine our place or our earth without soil? If you say that there will be no place for us to live, you are correct. If you say that there will be no land for us to walk, you are also correct. We are going to find out other reasons or other explanation or other scenario. What will the earth be without soil as we discuss our lesson? Next question will be, do the different types of soil differ from each other? Do you say yes? Or do you say no? We are going to find out the correct answer for this question as we discuss with our lesson. But what is soil? Soil is the material where plants grow and which provides them physical support, water, and nutrients. Soil covers most of the land part of the earth. So these are the examples of soil that I'm sure that you are familiar with. There are types of soil, and soil type differs in terms of the following. Number 1, the color. Number 2, texture. Number 3, odor. And number 4 is the ability to hold water. Also, soil type differs in some soils are good for planting while others are not. Also, we have different types of soil. The first one is the clay. So, let's observe the picture that you can see on your screen. How can you characterize the clay type of soil? Okay, based from the picture, we can say that the particles of the clay soil are tightly packed together. It can hold much water and becomes sticky when wet. It is made up of very fine particles of rocks, and this soil can be used in making pots. So this is the type of soil that in Tagalog is maputik. Siya yung klase ng soil na ginagamit sa pottery industry because this is the type of soil that are good in making pots. Let's proceed with the second type of soil, which is the loam. Loam soil, as you can see in the picture, is a mixture of sand and clay. It contains a large amount of decaying plants and animals. It has a fine texture too, and this soil can hold enough water and oxygen which are needed for plant growth. Okay, so the first one is the clay soil, which is good in making pots. This loam soil is good for plant growth. So, ito yung mga ginagamit or importante sa ating mga farmers and different industry na kinakailangan ng matabang lupa sa pagpapalago ng kanilang mga halaman. So, this is the loam soil. So, let's go with the third one. The third types of soil is the sand. Based from the picture, we can say that the particles are coarse and loose, buhaghag, and it is easy to dig. Mabilis siyang hukayin. This soil is not good for growing plants because it cannot hold water well. So unlike the loam soil, this sand soil is not good for planting plants because it doesn't or cannot hold water well. Kasi nga siya ay buhaghag, hindi niya kaya mag-hold ng water to support the plant growth. Okay, so as we study the type of soil, let us take a look now with the layers of the soil. The first layer of soil is the topsoil. What is the topsoil? Soil is a system in which energy and matter where the sun, atmosphere, and the living organisms penetrate and interact. So this is the topsoil is the uppermost, pinakaibabaw layer of the soil. This layer is rich with organic materials called humus and with minerals needed for plant growth. Humus comes from decaying plants and animals. So the first layer, yung pinakaibabaw na layer ng soil is the topsoil. So this layer is rich with organic materials because it is where we can find humus that is needed for the growth of the plants, and humus came from decaying plants and animals. Let's proceed with the second layer, which is the subsoil. The subsoil is located just below the topsoil. So this is the topsoil, this is the subsoil. The subsoil, it is composed of loosely arranged rocks, sand, and clay. This layer is very rich with minerals that drained from the topsoil. Okay, so after the topsoil, we have the subsoil, which is composed of loosely arranged rocks and sand and also clay. The third layer of the soil is the parent rock. It is composed of rocks that are slowly breaking apart. It is exposed to very little weathering. Okay, so this is the third layer of the soil, the parent rock. Parent rock, we must bear in mind that this is exposed to very little weathering. And the last layer of the soil is the bedrock. So the bedrock is the lowest of the soil layers. Lowest. It is made up of undisturbed large boulders and gravel. This layer contains materials that are good for constructing buildings and making roads. No plant can survive this layer. Okay? So, kabaliktaran siya ng topsoil. Topsoil is the best layer of the soil where we can plant. And the bedrock from the other side is the least advisable or the least layer where we can plant plants because it is not good for plant growth because it is good for constructing, building, and making roads. So, dito nanggagaling yung malalaking bato na ginagamit ng ating mga engineers and architect to build buildings and houses. Okay, so for you to understand better our summary of today's lesson, let us watch this video.
It is from www.makemegenius.com. If you want to see more science videos, go to www.makemegenius.com. Oh, yeah, it is free.
You're wondering what is happening in pot 2. You've put in water, you've put in fertilizer and nutrients, but why is this plant not growing? Do you know what the reason could be? Let me explain it to you. It depends upon the soil in the pot. Did you know the growth of plants depends upon 4 things? Okay, don't worry. Let me tell you. They are the amount of sunlight, availability of water, availability of air, and the amount of nutrients. So now you know 4 important requirements for plants to grow. But do you know soil is also responsible for points 2, 3, and 4? Okay, so let's learn why soil plays a very important role for plant growth. Or why the plant in pot 1 is growing and the plant in pot 2 is not growing is linked to the soil in the pots. So, there are 2 different types of soils in these 2 pots. The soil in pot 1 is good for plant growth, and the soil in pot 2 is not good for plant growth. The soil in pot 1 helps plants to get water, nutrients, and air. But in pot 2, the soil is not good for these 3 things. But let me first explain the different types of soils. Do you know different types of soils? Okay, there are 3 types of soils: clay, sandy, and loam. You see these 3 jars? All of these jars have different types of soils. Let us learn about these 3 types. The first one is clay. The soil particles are very small and very close to each other. There is some space in between particles, and it can hold a lot of water, but very little air. Let's put some water in each jar. Now, take soil from jar number 1 into your hand. Grab it in your hand tightly. Now, open your hand. See how the clay soil holds itself tightly and doesn't break? So, it is tightly packed and holds the water. Now, see jar 2. It is sandy soil. Its particles are bigger in size and further away from each other. There is a lot of space among particles. Water passes through these pores and does not stay in this soil for very long. Now, take some soil in your hand from this jar. Try to form a ball. Now, open your hand. See? It crumbles. It does not hold any water. So for plants, it is not good. In deserts, very few plants are able to grow due to this reason. Now this soil in jar number 3 is loam soil. It is a mixture of sand and clay soil. It is best for plants as it holds water, air, and nutrients very well. Now try to make a ball from this soil. It crumbles, but it still holds together. So now you understand 3 types of soil.
Alright, we are done with the video experiment that I have come with because we are in a distance modular learning, and I came up with a video wherein you can see the different types of soil and how they differ with each others. Now let's move with the evaluation wherein you are going to write the letter of your correct answer in your pad paper. Every number you are going to check your work because I am going to tell you the correct letter of the answer. Okay? Remember, honesty is the best policy. Number 1. Which of these is made up of a smallest particles of rocks which contain decayed matter of plants and animals? Is it letter A, land, B, soil, C, mineral, or D, water? Okay, time's up. The correct answer for number 1 is letter B, soil. Number 2. How many types of soil are there? Is it A, 2, B, 1, C, 3, or D, 4? The correct answer is letter C, 3. Number 3. Which soil holds enough water for plant growth? Is it A, loam soil, B, clay soil, C, sand soil, or D, silt? The correct answer is letter A. Let's proceed with number 4. Why is soil important to living things? Why is soil important to living things? Is it A, forms part of the earth where animals live Letter B, provides necessary nutrients needed by plants. Letter C, serves as the place where people live. Or letter D, all of the above. The correct answer is letter D. Let's proceed with number 5. Which type of soil is good in making pots? A, loam soil, B, clay soil, C, sand soil, or letter D, silt soil. The correct answer is letter B, clay. Number 6. How does decayed organisms like plants and animals make soil fertile? A, change its color, B, enhances color, C, makes the texture finer, or letter D, add nutrients to the soil. The correct answer is letter D. For number 7, what type of soil do you usually expect in a shoreline or malapit sa dagat? A, loam soil, B, clay, C, sand, or D, silt. The correct answer is letter C, sand. For number 8, in which layer of the soil do you usually find loam? A, topsoil, B, parent soil, C, bedrock, or D, ground soil. And the correct answer is letter A. How many correct answers did you get? If you got 8, you are excellent. If you got 7, you are very good. If you got below 6, you can watch again the video for you to better understand the lessons about the soil, its type, and characteristic. For now, let me end this video. Once again, Grateful Aguila. I hope you got something from today's lesson, and I hope that I will see you again in our next video. Once again, this has been your teacher Monica, your partner in learning. Goodbye and God bless.